The Democratic Alliance member of the KZN legislature, Mbali Ntuli, has resigned. She has resigned as both a DA member and as a member of the KZN legislature. Ntuli contested DA leader John Steenhuisen for the leadership of the party. SABC News reporter Natasha Phiriis has more on this story.
Well, thank you so much. And of course, I'm joined by a person who is no stranger to politics of this country. She cut her teeth into politics at a very young age when she was still a teenager. I'm talking about a person who is a former DA youth leader. She played a pivotal role for the Democratic Alliance in the province of KZN. She was a former provincial campaign manager in that province. And of course, she was a member of, is a member of the KZN legislature, and I'm talking about none other than Mbali Ntuli. Mbali, thank you so much for joining us on SABC News. It's been a while.
It has. It's very good to be back.
Thank you so much for this interview, and I believe you have a very important announcement to make, Mbali.
Well, I have just made the announcement that I've tendered my resignation to my party, both as a DA member and as a member of the KZN legislature.
Mbali, I mean, in light of what you just told us now and the nation, I mean, this follows the likes of former party leader Mmusi Maimane, Herman Mashaba, John Moody, Phumzile Vandam, Bongang Baloyi, and now it's actually you. I mean, does this not fuel the suggestions, and we've been talking about this time and time again, from the time that you were actually contesting John Steenhuisen, you know, to be party leader back in 2020, does this not, your resignation, then fuel the suggestion that the DA is ridding itself of black leaders within the party?
Well, nobody's gotten rid of me. I've decided of my own volition that for my own personal growth and my own trajectory in terms of what I see as being the role that I play in the country, to step back. And I think that a good dancer always knows when to exit the stage, and I think that I've done my bit for the DA. I'm incredibly proud of the work that I've done there, but there is now, I think, an opportunity for me, after some deep introspection, to really take a step back, and from formal politics at least, and to go back to the communities, go back to the ground, and to do some more good work there. So I'm not lost to serving my country, but I think I'm better suited and I have more energies to do it elsewhere now.
But what changed? I'll bring you back to 2020 when you were contesting John Steenhuisen. I remember you actually campaigned on the card to bring you know, transformation within the party. You talked about, you know, bringing critical reforms and healing the DA from the inside out.
And that was a big part of what I really believed, and it's still a big thing that I believe now, not just for the DA, but for the politics of the country generally. I think there's so much more that we could be doing, innovative ways that we could be looking at how to get people that aren't involved politically to be involved politically, communities that aren't empowered to be empowered. And sometimes you can't do that from the rigidity of a party, and I think had I won the election, I would have had more scope to do that. But right now, I feel as though it would be disingenuous for me to continue serving as a member of the legislature, earning a salary from the hard-working taxpayers when I'm not fulfilling my potential. I think that there's other avenues, and I take nothing away from the leaders who, some of them are my friends, who have left and have had their own reasons, but for me it really is about personal growth and wanting to go back to the communities.
You talk about fulfilling other avenues. I mean, what's the next step for Mbali Ntuli, and what do you think about our current political system? Does it need to change? Does it need to reform?
I think so, and I think anyone in South Africa who's living with the high cost of living, the general incompetence in every part of our government, feels wherever they are in the country that something needs to change. And that's really the question that I want to go and answer, and that's the kind of vehicle and organization that I want to be able to build to empower people and to really think about how we can change those kind of things. But I think that the system is broken in that the way that political parties operate is archaic, and I mean that across the board. So this is not a criticism of anyone, and they are not forced to innovate at the moment because nobody else is doing something different. And so I'm going to take my time, and I'll definitely be back to announce what it is that I'm going to be doing. But I definitely have so much energy and so many ideas that for me it would be a waste of my potential, but also the many good people that approach me all the time, to not use the skills, the platforms, networks, and the opportunities that I can bring to people who might not otherwise have them.
Can you perhaps give us a hint? I mean, you're very young, you know, you're a vibrant politician. But just perhaps give us a clue. Are you talking about, becoming an independent candidate perhaps in the future?
I mean, politics is in my blood, so I would never rule it out. But for now, I think, people have such a negative idea of politicians that just jump off to another political party, which is what I don't want to do. For me, I think also because of COVID and being away from the interaction of people, I'm going back to the ground with no position and with no sort of airs and frills, but just back to the people. And I think that, hopefully people that can see that can also be inspired where they are to be able to start doing those things, because we have a responsibility, particularly if you have some form of privilege in this country, to help uplift others. And I think the more of us that kind of do that, the more we'll see the changes that we think need to happen in our society.
So I guess you won't be joining Action SA?
I'm not joining any of the political parties. Like I say, I think that the system of the way political parties conduct themselves is not conducive to the kind of diversity of thought, innovation, and just forward-thinking momentum that this country needs at the moment.
Okay, Mbali, let's also take it back to 2020 when you were contesting against John Steenhuisen. I found a very interesting letter that you wrote at that time to party delegates. You hit out at DA leaders. You described the behavior in the party as a cult-like behavior, and you spoke about fear and the politicizing of disciplinary processes of the party, especially the DA's Federal Legal Commission. I mean, you also bemoaned the culture of the top-down management. Do you still share the same sentiments, perhaps?
I do, and I think that I've always been very forthright about the things that I think have not gone well in the party. It's why instead of just only complaining, I started a campaign to try and run to be able to change it, because I don't believe that you should only criticize and not do anything. But at the same time, I've stayed in the party. I've still done all my work up until the very last day, because I also respect democratic outcomes, and I respect that people have a different view, and I wish them all the very best in continuing to do what they do. But for me, there is another way that I think I can go, and another direction that I think the country needs to see more people doing. So that's what I'm going to be really engrossed with doing going forward. So good luck to the DA.
Yeah. Do you think, in your opinion, is race still a thorny issue within the DA? I remember the former DA federal chairperson, Ethel Trollop, just before he resigned. I mean, he's a member of the Action SA right now. He once spoke about the challenges that the Democratic Alliance had faced at that time, and said that if the party wanted to govern, it would have to overcome a racial trust deficit between the party and South Africans.
So I think that race in any organization, including maybe even the one that you work for, is something that continues to be a part of the South African conversation, because obviously every organization is a microcosm of the history that we've had in this country. I do think that the DA probably has more of a trust deficit than other parties, but I think all parties in our country use the racial political football as really a zero-sum game of how we can discuss things. And there's so many more discussions that we need to be having. Not that race isn't important, but real things that are happening to people on an everyday basis that could maybe systemically change what is the end result of a system that doesn't work for most people. And so again, I think we are stuck in a quagmire in South Africa of only ever seeing issues and problems from one particular angle. And I need to take a step back also, so that I have objective eyes into how I can help try to tackle some of these issues. And I think if more of the political parties were self-aware and introspective, they could probably do a lot better than they are doing now, including my own that I'm leaving now.
Ms. Ntuli, I have to ask, are there tensions between you and the DA's Federal Council Chairperson, Ms. Helen Zille?
No, I mean, Helen and I haven't interacted in some time, so there's no tensions between us. But that's not to say that people in every organization are meant to be best friends, and I think I've been very clear about that as well. I think that there's a collegiality that can be professional, that doesn't require people to be friendly. So that's me and Helen.
Let's also talk about your growth as a politician, within the DA, and how that has probably equipped you to actually go out there and do your own thing now.
A lot of the work that I've done in the DA, as I say, I've been part of. I've built youth structures, structures on campuses, and I helped to start a lot of the different organizations on different campuses, led the youth. I've started branches in places where the DA had never been, both in townships in Durban and in rural KZN. And I think that all of that work is going to stand me in good stead as I take my next steps and really become somebody who's more rooted in a lot of community activism work. So I'm proud of that work. I'm proud of the work that I've done in the legislature. I've held a number of key portfolios where I've been able to raise a lot of campaigns and help people. But even simple things like helping someone get an ID or helping someone get their child into a school, those kinds of things are the ones that are fulfilling for me, and I want to be able to do a lot more of that kind of thing, which is why going back to communities is so important. And I'm hoping that I can find a way for more South Africans who, they don't have to leave their jobs, but can also start feeling that they can patriotically give back in some sort of way. I really think that's missing in the country at the moment.
And your legacy as well, especially when it comes to, championing the rights of women. I mean, that gender-based violence is now a second pandemic, but I mean, just looking back at the legacy of Mbali Ntuli, especially when it comes to helping young women.
I mean, it's hard to talk about your own legacy, but I'm very proud of the work that I've done of grooming and mentoring other young leaders, stuff that I didn't always have. And also even grooming and mentoring older leaders who were older than me, who came into the organization in various places. And I hope that my legacy has been one of bravery, one of standing up for other people, standing up for myself, and one of also maybe challenging some norms that there were around politics. I was very young when I got into politics in the legislature. I think I was the first female to get pregnant there for a long time, which isn't often seen of young people in politics, and something that puts them off. And just the collegiality that I've had with people in other parties, the ANC, the IFP, the EFF, particularly the women. I've forged very strong ties with them, and I'll miss them very much. Oh my God.
Cassie, you're getting a bit emotional there. And, just going back to what you said, that you'll be soon making an announcement. I mean, 2024 is around the corner, so can we expect that announcement anytime soon?
Well, my announcement is not wholly dependent on 2024, but yes, definitely soon. I think I need to take just a slight breather and concretize what I'm thinking I'm going to do, and then I'll definitely come back and let everybody know.
And finally, your message just to people out there, those who've supported you in your journey. I mean, it hasn't been an easy one for you,
I think I'm just so grateful, particularly to the public, for trusting me and having the kind of respect and belief in me being a leader. I'm very grateful to them and the honor of being able to serve my country. And then I'm also grateful to people in your profession. I think that you guys do a lot of good work, and the work of the media can't be overstated. So for me, I felt like we've had a very great symbiotic relationship with a lot of the media, and I'm very grateful for what even your profession has taught me about going into deep, dark places and shining lights on things that people don't always want to be seen. And I'm just grateful, and I hope that they don't think this is a betrayal of them, because I'll still be giving back to the country.
Mbali, thank you so much, and thank you for always being available for interviews. On that emotional note, that was Mbali Ntuli just announcing her, her exit from the Democratic Alliance. She spent all these years in politics. At the beginning of the interview, I said that she cut her teeth into politics at a very young age, and she's now hanging up her boots within the Democratic Alliance. Of course, saying that she will be, making announcements soon as to where. On what the future actually holds for her, but of course she will still be trying to make a change within the political fray. With that said, on an emotional note, it's back to you in studio.
SABC reporter there, Natasha Phiriis, in conversation with Mbali Ntuli, who's just resigned.